was something that we talked about just because we both experienced it. It's a part of our lifestyle actively, and we feel like it will help not only inform but also educate and also create a space of relatability for someone who is listening to what we're talking about today. So today's session is about, I said session, segment is about health and fitness,
which is related to workout sessions.
Yes, it is. It is. So we'll talk about kind of like our weight loss journeys, tips and advice, nutrition habits that we have, and just honestly things to do and also avoid during those time periods where you're kind of like, focusing and like locking in on your health. So
those pitfalls, man.
Yeah. So I want to start with weight loss journey.
Okay. Yeah.
Should I start with myself, or do you want to give your perspective first?
You can start.
Cool. Okay. So I started in October 2023, and by mid 2024, I lost over 50 pounds. And I at my heaviest, I was about 239, but I didn't really start locking in until I got to like 231. And then from there, I've been like about like 184, 185. So it was a grind because I had got to like my lowest point of health, honestly, at that point, like being transparent, I was, out of a relationship, and I was really looking at myself from outside, like what are some things I need to change for myself, right? And I realized it was my health because I was someone like, I played sports in high school, and then I worked out consistently all the time. Like I was like in the gym powerlifting, and then at some point you go to school, you get distracted, and you go through a depressive period, and then you just start, things you do is cope to eat, but also drink alcohol, right? So in that, I talked to one of my friends and shot to him, Gio, and I was like, man, I just need to change, bro. I'm looking at myself physically, and I know this is not who I am and where I want to be at. And he told me, like, one thing that always sticks with me is that, look at it this way, this will be the lowest point you'll ever be at. And from here, the only way is up. So I did a bunch of research because I was a sports and exercise science major in undergrad. So I kind of like had that, like the insight, right? And like I started intermittent fasting, like during like daily. And intermittent fasting is basically like, I'm not going to give you the whole science, but I wouldn't eat from like 8 o'clock at night to about noon, and I would have black coffee and electrolytes because those don't add calories, which will break your fast. And then I was working out like running, maybe like 10 miles a week, 10 to 12 miles a week, like 5 days a week. And then like I was like working out like 5 days a week. So I was intense.
Yeah, running 10 miles a week?
Yeah. Well, that's like 2 miles a day.
Oh, well.
Oh, when yeah, I guess. Like that, yeah. Because now I run like, I go out and run like 4 or 5 miles like it's nothing, I ran like 5Ks in 2024, like, but yeah, like I feel like the one thing I learned in my weight loss journey was definitely discipline, because those first few weeks when you had to like not eat, stressful.
Yeah.
Like when you had to like cut out certain things, like I was low carb. I had a cheat meal on a Saturday where I'll go to Chick-fil-A and I'll get their grilled chicken tenders. I look forward to
not the grilled.
Yeah, with their waffle fries. Because because I think
even on a cheat day,
I'm really strict.
Wow.
I'm really strict. And I was having mocktails too. No alcohol for 120 days. I was having mocktails and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Like so, and I wasn't even drinking nothing alcohol related. And it was interesting because during that time too, and I know it's a mouthful.
No, but, it's okay.
During that time too, it's interesting when you're going on a weight loss journey and you're around your friends, because everyone's still participating in those activities, and you just gotta watch. I remember I was like right when I started, my friends were like, "You want to go to a barbecue pool party?" Because I'm like, I went for the pool, did not go for the barbecue. Couldn't party because look, I couldn't drink. Yeah. But that honestly told me that if I can have the discipline to say no, then it's funny enough. That was in October. In 2024, because that was October 2023, right? In 2024, I want to say in April, someone saw me and they saw my weight loss change, and they were just like, wow. From the first time you told me you wanted to lose weight and lock in, I
because that's only a few months later.
Yeah, well, yeah, October to April is however many months, I don't know.
6.
6 months?
It's my half birthday in April, so
okay, well,
I know that.
Okay, all right. Look at you being vain. But yeah, like
okay. Great. Anyway, continue.
But yeah, ultimately, like I don't know. I learned a lot of stuff mentally and physically about myself, but like we can definitely trade more. Like definitely talk about yourself. I know you had.
Yeah, no, I mean that's interesting. I think for me, so context, my weight loss journey was more spread out. And it's not necessarily because I locked in. So I don't remember what I was at maximum density exactly, but I remember.
You said maximum what?
Maximum density. That's when I was like my most dense.
Okay.
like the heaviest of my life.
Okay, I ain't never heard that.
Actually, let me think real
Hey,
quick.
Tony, have you heard of maximum density before?
I mean, you talking about height and weight?
I'm just talking about my weight. Like, I don't know what the scientific.
Have you heard density said before? Maybe I'm taking this on the tangent.
You never heard density?
Well, the thing is,
Like, oh, that's really dense. It's like if you look at a brick, it might be like this small, but it's really heavy because it's super dense.
well, muscle is more dense than fat.
We don't care.
Oh.
So I'm just gonna, okay, when I was at my heaviest, I was probably like almost 190. Like I was 180 something. And then I lost like 50 pounds at one point. But this was
Nice.
over like 2 years, I want to say. So it wasn't as quick as yours. And it was what triggered it actually, because like my whole life, my weight fluctuated. I was like a normal sized child, and then I gained weight when my siblings were born. I think
Yeah.
I like started coping with food or something. And then I was like a kind of chubby kid. And then I lost weight when I hit puberty, and then I gained weight again in high school. Then I lost weight again in college, and then I gained weight again in college. So it was just like my whole life, my weight kind of fluctuated.
You're right.
And then when I moved to Seattle,
What year was that?
that was in 2019, July 2019. I moved to Seattle. I don't know what it was. Like I was happy because I was in a relationship. Like my boyfriend would come to visit me a lot, and like I don't know, I was just eating a lot. I was under the influence. It's legal in Seattle to smoke.
Hey.
I was smoking a ton. I was getting the
Munchies.
munchies. I was eating a lot. So like I had gained a lot of weight, and I was at like my maximum weight. And then at the start of the pandemic, I moved to Texas to be with my family. I was like super antisocial, and I'm a person who gets my energy from being alone. So I was just like by myself a lot of the time. I also got COVID, and I couldn't taste anything, and I was sick, so I just like wasn't eating. So I initially lost a significant amount of weight just because I wasn't eating due to sickness, and then I also think I maybe had some undiagnosed depression of some sort. So I wasn't eating for that reason as well, and I didn't recognize it until later when my mom was like, "Hey, you look like you lost weight."
Did you see that you were losing weight though?
Not really, because I was just like, I don't know, I was like in pajamas all the time, and like I wasn't really like paying attention
You
to
tell
it.
me the waistline didn't get a little loose. Like, oh man.
I mean, when you're wearing like sweats and big t-shirts, you don't notice as much. And I think because you see yourself every day, right? So like
Yeah.
you don't notice the change as much. But
Oh, I did. Trust me. When I
Oh.
when I was at my heaviest, funny story. I was on a plane ride, right? And like I said, even though I was in a long distance relationship,
Yeah.
so I was on a plane ride, and we started having turbulence. And I mean, like no Diddy, like I was like, man, why my chest moving a little bit more than it usually does? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, look. I was like, hold on.
oh my God,
It used to be tight up here.
that is actually so funny.
But go ahead.
What? Hey, I empathize with you. There was like, because I remember there were a couple times I would get on okay, so I'm not trying to be dramatic. Like I could always fit in roller coasters, like when they shut down the thing, but my thighs are kind of thick. And so there'd be a couple times where I'm like, oh my gosh, what if it doesn't fit? And it always did. But I'd be on like the second to last, little thing.
Yeah.
And my chest, like my upper body was loose because my lower body's always bigger, and I'd be scared I was going to fall out. Anyway, but going back to what I was saying. So like I first started losing weight in an unhealthy way. Like I was just sick and not eating and whatever. And then I was like, you know what? I feel not great. I went through a breakup, and I was like, let me redirect all of this, like maybe negative feelings that I'm having and like time that I have on my hands, and start doing something that benefits my body. So I started going to workout classes, which also gave me a little bit of like a social aspect because they're kind of like communal.
But you still do that today too.
I do, but I actually like just canceled my membership.
What? 'Cause every time I call this, PJ, I can't talk right now. I'm going to spin class. PJ, I can't talk right now. I'm at Pilates. PJ, if you call me one more time and I can't get out of the bar,
I never said that.
promise.
I've only been to a bar once, first of all.
And it was that one time.
I don't think you, maybe you did. But anyway, so then I started doing these workout classes, which I do love now. But the one that I go to, I just canceled because I'm going to start just going to the regular gym full time because I paid too much money to go to take these classes.
Right.
But yeah, so my journey started a little bit different. I was sick, and then I was like, let me redirect this energy. And then I just started losing like a ton of weight.
Did it scare you at first?
Was it what?
Did it scare you at first?
No, because I was like, ooh, she's
Period.
looking skinny. But then the thing that they don't tell you, well, maybe they do tell you, and I just didn't know, is you lose weight in areas you don't want to first.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this?
And your weight start going in too fast, but your butt's kind of, yeah.
No, it would be the opposite. Like my chest and my butt would shrink, and I'd be like, hold on. Hold on, what's going on? Like my bra size, I kid you not, went down 2 sizes. And I was like, this is interesting. And that's when I started noticing things. And now I weigh myself regularly, so I track it. But that was my journey. I want to ask you about, so you mentioned a little bit about nutrition, like
Right.
you did intermittent fasting.
Yes.
Are there any other like diet or nutrition things that you incorporated?
I'm glad you asked. So I kind of did like a keto-like diet, where I actually dropped it down to low carbs. Because the thing about carbs is, so people say to watch like fat and stuff like that, too many calories, but it's about how you navigate your calories. Because at the end of the day, the thing about calories, I'm about to get science on y'all because, like I said, I was undergrad, right? So think of it like a scale: energy out, energy in. If you're putting in too many calories is energy, but you're not exercising, which means letting out energy, then you gain weight. But if you're putting out like the same amount, you're going in and out, you stay and maintain
The
weight.
same, yeah.
But if I am decreasing the amount of calories that I eat, energy out, in, and then increase the amount out by working out, then I then create weight loss, because you have to have like about a 500 calorie decrease to start working towards weight loss, because you should lose about like a pound to 2 pounds a week, or say
So you're saying like your caloric deficit,
caloric
should
deficit.
be like 500?
500 calories. That's like standard, but I was doing about maybe like 15 to 2,000, right?
Oh, so you were like really aggressive with it.
I was really strict. So yeah, I was cutting out carbs. Like I said, no alcohol, cutting out carbs to like a lower minimum.
That's why yours was so fast.
Yeah, green. But also I was eating a lot of protein at the same time, and also electrolytes to still kind of like sustain and build muscle, but also like fulfill like those key areas. Because like I think I would say my diet mainly was kind of like white lean meat, red meat periodically. Like I said, lower in carbs, so I didn't really eat bread like that. A lot of like greens and salad, a lot of like raw like foods, right? And not like eating out. Like fried foods was to minimum, baking, chicken, things like that. Why are you looking guilty?
Because I'm like, that sounds unsatisfying.
But I locked in, and then like kind of like lowering sugar as well. Like that was a big thing, because like that's my kryptonite when it comes to food is sweets, and it was like definitely cutting down that sugar.
Yeah.
And I watched kind of like the weight just like shed and things like that. At first when I started, I didn't know how to properly do it, and I think the issue is I was running out of energy. I felt like trash. But then I had talked to my boss. She was like, "Hey, like my husband does intermittent fasting. Are you drinking enough electrolytes?" I didn't realize I had to have that, like, because when you're not eating much, you're losing that sodium, all those key nutrients to keep you fulfilled and moving throughout your day. So that's how I locked in with like electrolytes, and also making sure I'm eating like those proteins that keep me going, so
Good.
And also vitamins are important. So,
oh yeah, because if you're not getting them from like the usual sources.
But I did want to touch, because I feel like I didn't say it before that. A big part of like the weight gain was I was eating just like way too much fried foods, eating way out too much, like eating carbs, and like I'm talking like that was like what every meal was, and like because you wake up every day and you're feeling just like sluggish.
You still barely eat carbs, I feel like.
Yeah. Is it? And at this point, it's kind of like a natural thing for me.
Yeah, like that's just your diet.
That's just my diet now. And actually, somebody told me, like, do you have a fear of like gaining weight? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I talked to my therapist about it. Shout out to you, Devin. But yeah, like that's honestly it. But what about you with nutrition? I know you said you were sicker, but you were home, so I assumed that like I don't know how this for you home. I know you cook.
Yeah.
So, but at that time, were you kind of like eating what your family eats?
No, I never really like ate what they ate. I would cook my own food or order my own food. I mean, my parents would prepare meals, but I just like would choose not to eat them.
Yeah. My mom would hate you. 'Cause my mom, whenever I go back home, she's like, my mom Haitian, y'all.
My mom would hate you is crazy to
for
say.
Real. No, if you were her daughter, my mom was Haitian, y'all. She'd be like, if I don't want something to eat right now at the moment, like I'm gonna eat it later. She goes, Pete, you don't love your mom no more. My son.
Well, they knew, I think, too, that I had like,
Pas femme ça.
I don't know.
For all my non-Haitians, I mean, don't do that to me. But go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like they did probably feel some. They didn't care. But because they had 2 other kids, they're eating their food, and they're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like she's spending her own money, doing her own thing. Great. We don't have to pay for that."
We'll let her be the bad apple.
Right. But yeah, I think like I did change my eating habits, but
Right.
it wasn't like a diet or like a fad sort of thing. I tried intermittent fasting, and that was cool, but I like to eat at all times, so
Yeah,
I didn't do that consistently.
yeah.
Discipline is super important in general. So that's something that like I think applies to working out, like your regimen and also your diet.
Right.
I definitely cut out fast foods for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I started cooking my own foods, which I think helped because I knew what I was putting into foods.
Right.
And for some reason, when I cook, I'm not as hungry afterwards. I don't know if it's like being in the kitchen, smelling everything.
Well, those things as well. Like when you, but you do eat after.
Yeah, I do sometimes, but sometimes I'll be like, I'll just eat later, or like,
Are you eating as you cooking though?
no.
Really?
Okay, but I'm not gonna lie. There have been times where I was so hungry and I was eating, and then I had to stop and like go get a snack before my food was ready that I was cooking.
I mean, it's normal.
Like, well, one time I went to McDonald's. Like, I left the house and went to McDonald's to get food.
I mean, I ain't saying. I ain't saying drop.
It was
the,
big back behavior.
I'm not saying drop the salmon and go get a quarter pounder with cheese.
But no, it wasn't a quarter pounder.
A Big Mac,
No,
McDouble?
No,
fish fillet,
Well, maybe a McDouble.
McRib,
Maybe a McDouble.
McFlurry,
Maybe a McDouble.
small fry,
Maybe a fry.
kids meal.
Medium. Maybe a McDouble. Maybe a medium fry
I have
with ranch.
greens, beans.
We don't know.
Who named it?
But yes, I don't do that anymore. Well, actually, every once in a while, maybe. But anyway, yes, I cooked my own food, which I think helped me. And then also, like, I just wasn't a portion control, I think, too.
Big time.
Yeah, like that is definitely a thing. But you don't have to control your portions as much if you're eating the right things, because there's like less calories in it. But in general, I would say like I just started eating more fruits and vegetables and things like that, which kind of like tempered my appetite instead of filling it with like carbs or fats. I still eat those things, but I think I just shifted the portions of types of foods that I would eat.
And that kind of ties to the calorie, the caloric intake concept is like, as long as you're like have like a structured portion, you really could eat like,
As much as you want.
as
of
much, yeah,
nice things. Of spinach.
moderation.
You could have as much spinach as you want. Like I could have this much spinach and it could be less calories than like
right,
2 buns. I don't know.
right.
Anyway, but yeah, that's nutrition. Pitfalls
And things to avoid.
Yeah.
So, mistakes that I made, I think during that time, like I said, was definitely make sure you're well researched before you make a big jump in the weight loss journey. Because, like I said, for the first few weeks, I felt like trash because I didn't acknowledge that I had to take electrolytes when I was intermittent fasting. Make sure you also, say this is for sure, like don't be such I feel like you've done this too because I've done it, like stick to the scale so much because the scale will be your worst enemy if you feel like just because like you went and ran a little bit or like you didn't eat as much that day and you're just like, man, I know I'm 5 pounds now. You're not. You're not. You didn't lose anything.
No.
Okay.
So sad.
But like just have like a good routine with that. Definitely I'll say this and I'll go back and like being even more health specific, but like your community around you, don't let peer pressure of what's around you influence you to get away from like what your goal is. Because I think, like I said, like going to like, social engagements, not everyone has like the most healthiest diets. And that's not no fault to them, but also like if there's social settings where it's not going to align with where you are going health wise, just like be cognizant of that, and just like I said, understand that there's a greater goal. And like ultimately, I think that, well, even what I did was just kind of like preparing myself before going within those spaces. Another thing is do your research on diets because like when I was trying like the keto thing, I realized that's why I say keto like because some of it I was just like, well, one, too expensive.
Yeah.
And two, it's like
a lot of meat.
Yeah, like not everyone's diet is form fit because there's like genetics tied to it. There's like your local proximity of what's available to you. There's what just works for your body in general and how it reacts. Like how you say losing like weight in different places. Someone else might lose weight in other places that you wanted to because of just that specific diet or that routine.
Yeah.
But also just a workout routine that works well for you. I think is another thing because I think that like I started off way too hard and I had to scale back because this one when I was like doing cardio like 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Burning out, and at some point it makes you want to like give up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of like some pitfalls.
I feel like most of the like you probably covered the things that I was gonna say.
I'll be yapping y'all. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I feel like definitely the scale scaries is a real thing. And I still, so like even up to like 2 weeks ago, I am like super regimented. I get on the scale every single day. And people tell you not to do that. And I'm going to tell you to do the same thing. Like, do not do what I do. You should not. Well, let me not say that, but I feel like it can be a detriment because if you see, to your point, that like you're not losing weight, that can make you be discouraged. The other thing I would say is like watch your nutrition very closely because I realized that at one point I was in like my caloric deficit was huge, like you were talking about, which does help you lose weight. But there were times where I would like pass out because I hadn't eaten and like I was being really
Wow.
active. Like I went to boxing class and then I went out with friends and like you just have to really watch and like make sure you're consuming enough food to
Find
feed your
balance
body.
too in that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like don't go all the way to this end of the spectrum because you want to lose weight. You still need to take care of your body. Like you only have one and you don't want to damage it because you're trying to achieve this goal. And in the end, like, okay, I could say like, I only weigh 100 pounds, which is not the case. But at the end of the day, like if you can't function, you can't move, you can't enjoy being around people, what's the point? So I would say just in general, like on your journey, keep health in mind, not just wanting to achieve a certain aesthetic or wanting to be skinny or wanting to be more lean or have muscle or whatever. Because maybe you want to gain weight too. Like do it in the healthy way. Keep that in mind is just my general recommendation.
Wow. You said something in there, and to cap it off, you only have one body. That was a
only
bar.
one. You
That
only
was
have
a
one
bar.
body.
That was a bar.
You only got one body.
Yo, that was a bar.